Reika walked alone through the cold wind of the mountain village. Her black cloak dragged behind her, heavy with snow. Everyone who saw her quickly moved away, doors shut, windows locked. Mothers pulled their children close. No one wanted to speak to her. No one dared doubt she was different, not because of her looks, though she was tall, with pale purple skin and glowing yellow eyes, but because of something deeper. Reika was born on a death world, a place so dangerous even animals grew armor and plants could kill. She didn't remember that world. Her parents had escaped it when she was just a baby and brought her here, to the peaceful world of Leora. But Reika's body remembered. She was strong, too strong. And she healed faster than others. Her screams could crack stone. Once, when she was only 10, she got scared and the ground under her split. From that day, everyone began to fear her. Now, at age 19, Reika lived alone in the forest edge. She only came to the village when she needed food or medicine. The shopkeepers left things outside their doors, just so they wouldn't have to speak with her. As she walked past the market, an old woman muttered, "Monster." Reika heard it. She always heard. But she kept walking, head down, heart heavy. At night, in her small wooden home, Reika sat near the fire, staring at the flames. A storm howled outside, rain, wind, and thunder. She didn't mind storms. They matched how she felt inside. She looked up at the ceiling. "Why am I like this?" she whispered. "Why was I born this way? Am I really a monster?" She stood and stepped outside into the rain. The wind pushed against her, but she didn't care. Lightning flashed across the sky, and she lifted her arms. "If I'm not meant to belong anywhere," she cried, "then take me away." Thunder answered. And then something strange happened. A loud boom shook the air. Not thunder, something else. Reika turned her head toward the mountains. A bright fire streaked across the sky. A ship. It was falling fast, breaking apart. As it crashed, Reika's eyes widened. It wasn't far. She didn't think. She ran, through thick trees, across sharp rocks, up the muddy hill. Her feet flew. The storm was wild now. Branches snapped. Lightning lit her path. But Reika didn't stop. She reached the crash site within minutes. Smoke rose from the broken ship. The metal was black and twisted. Fire crackled from its side. Reika covered her mouth and nose, moving carefully through the wreck. Then she saw it. A figure lying half buried in the dirt. Humanoid. Blood on his forehead. His suit was torn, his breathing weak, but he was alive. And he wasn't alien. He was human. Reika froze. She had read about humans. They were rare in this part of the galaxy. But most books warned that humans were dangerous. From a world even worse than hers. A true death world. Her hands shook as she stepped closer. The man's eyes blinked open slowly. Their eyes met. Neither spoke for a moment. Then he smiled weakly and said, "Well, you're not the Reaper I expected." Reika's heart skipped. His voice was calm. He wasn't afraid of her. "You're from Earth?" she asked, her voice almost breaking. He nodded. "Yeah, name's Jack. You?" "Reika." He winced, trying to sit up, but groaned in pain. "Damn, my leg. I think it's broken." Reika dropped beside him. "Don't move. You're hurt." "You don't seem scared," he said, still smiling. "Most people run. I'm used to being the one others fear." Jack chuckled softly, even in pain. "Same." They stared at each other through the rain and smoke. Two strangers, two deathworlders. Reika looked at his wounds. She tore a strip of cloth from her cloak and started wrapping his leg. "You're helping me?" Jack asked. She nodded. "You fell from the sky. And you're like me." His eyes grew serious. "I didn't think I'd meet anyone like me either." Reika looked up at the dark sky. For 19 years she thought she was alone, a monster. A mistake, but now, maybe she wasn't. Maybe someone else understood. The human was still alive, but just barely. His name was Jack. He lay against a half-burned tree, his legs swollen and twisted, steam rising from his torn clothes. Sparks from the crashed ship popped. In the mud. Reka had dragged him there after the fire grew too dangerous. Now the storm was gone, and silence wrapped around the forest. But inside Rika's heart, a storm still raged. She crouched beside him, staring at his face. Rough jawline, deep scars. His skin was strange, soft-looking but strong. He had a strange smell too, like fire smoke. And blood. He didn't move, but his eyes opened. And they looked directly into hers, calm, sharp, like he'd seen things. Even scarier than death. "You're awake," Reka whispered. Jack blinked once, then twice. "Still not dead, huh?" She tilted her head. "You're not afraid of me?" He groaned and tried to sit up, but failed. "Afraid, lady, I just fell out of the sky and broke my leg. You're the least scary thing right now." Reka had never heard someone talk like that before. Not to her. Everyone else ran away or screamed. He just joked. She reached for his leg again, checking the bandage. "You're lucky. It didn't break through the skin." He chuckled. Weakly. "Feels like it broke through space-time." She didn't understand that joke, but something about it made her chest feel warm, light. "What planet are you from?" she asked quietly. Jack stared at her, a small smirk playing on his lips. "Earth, you know it?" Her hands froze. "Earth." The word hit her like a falling star. "That's a death world," she said, eyes wide. He nodded. "Yeah, not a fun place. Always something trying to kill you. Big teeth, poison, heat, cold." She sat back slowly, shock on her face. "Then you're like me," he frowned. "What do you mean?" Reka looked away, her voice soft. "I'm from a death world too. I was born there, but my parents brought me here as a baby. This world is calm, soft. I'm not. I've always felt wrong here." Jack studied her more seriously now. "Let me guess. You're stronger than them. Heal faster. They look at you like you're some kind of beast." She nodded slowly. He laughed, but not cruelly. "Yeah, I know that feeling." She looked back at him. "You're not scared of me." Jack smiled. "You're the first person I've met in months who isn't trying to shoot me. I'll take my chances." They sat in silence for a moment. The night was cold now. The fire from the crash had died down, leaving only soft smoke and flickering embers. "Why did you come here?" she finally asked. Jack sighed. "Crash. I was scouting this sector. My ship got hit by debris. Next thing I know, I'm falling through clouds and screaming like a coward." "You don't sound like one." He looked at her seriously now. "And you? Why are you out here alone?" She hesitated, then spoke honestly. "Because everyone else is afraid of me. They call me a monster." Jack looked into her glowing yellow eyes. "I don't see a monster," he said. "I see someone like me." That hit her harder than she expected. For a moment, Reka forgot about the world outside, the people who hated her, the pain of being alone. She only saw him. Jack. Another death worlder. Another soul who didn't fit in. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the trees. Reka stood up instantly, eyes glowing brighter. "Stay down." Jack reached for a small black object strapped to his belt, a weapon, half melted. "What is it?" Rika's ears twitched. She focused. "Hunters. I can hear their steps. They're looking for you," he cursed. "Let me guess, your people think I'm a threat?" "They think I was already a threat. Now they think I found something worse." Jack groaned. "Great, first crash. Now bounty hunters." Reka turned to him. "You can't fight with that leg. Come with me." "Where?" "There's an old cave, deep, forgotten. No one goes there anymore." He raised a brow. "You trust me already?" She held out her hand. "You're from a death world. That's enough for now." Jack stared at her hand. Then slowly, painfully, he grabbed it. She lifted him like he weighed nothing. As they limped away into the darkness, torches lit in the distance. Voices shouted. Weapons were drawn. But Reika didn't stop. For the first time in her life, she had someone worth protecting. The cave didn't welcome strangers. It breathed cold air, and the walls dripped with time. The entrance was hidden behind thorny vines and twisted trees, forgotten by most, feared by all. But Reika had been here before, years ago when she was younger. She ran here after the village children threw rocks at her. The darkness never judged her. It only listened. Now she returned, but she wasn't alone. Jack leaned against her shoulder, one arm wrapped around her neck, limping badly. "Let me guess," he muttered. "Not on the tourist map?" She gave a small smile. "Only the monsters know this place." He chuckled, then groaned. "Then I feel right at home." They stepped into the deep black. Outside, voices echoed through the woods. "They went this way. Check the crash site. Don't let that thing escape." Reika's jaw clenched. "They're not talking about you," Jack whispered. "They're talking about us now." She didn't reply. She only pulled him deeper into the cave. They moved slowly through narrow tunnels. Sharp stone teeth jutted from the ceiling. Water dripped into deep pools. Insects with glowing shells scurried along the walls. Most would have turned back, but Reika knew the way. After what felt like hours, they reached a small chamber hidden behind a thick rock curtain. She helped Jack down and laid him on a flat, dry stone. He closed his eyes and sighed. "I've slept in worse places." She knelt beside him. "We'll stay here until the search ends." Jack opened one eye. "You think they'll give up?" "No," she said coldly. "They won't stop until they believe you're dead." He laughed bitterly. "Nice people. They're afraid." He turned to look at her. "Of you? Yes. And yet you're the one helping me." She lowered her gaze. "Because you're the first one who didn't look at me like I was a curse." Jack was silent for a moment, then said, "You saved me, Reika. Now let me help you. You can barely walk. I can still talk." She laughed softly, surprised at herself. "Then talk." Jack sat up a little and looked around. "This cave, it's old. It was a hiding place during a war. My parents told me it was once a shelter for the sick and wounded. It has paths that even the hunters don't remember." He ran a hand along the wall. "Stone mixed with old metal. There's tech buried in here." She nodded. "Long ago, this world fought a war with machines. Some of them were built here. Now the forest has taken it back." Jack's eyes lit up. "Maybe there's still something we can use." She frowned. "Use for what? To fight back?" Reika stared at him. "No one's ever said that before," she whispered. "No one ever said I should fight for myself." Jack leaned closer. "Then it's time someone did." Outside the cave, the hunters grew bolder. Their torches reached the edge of the old paths. One of them bent down and touched a broken leaf. "They passed this way." Another pulled out a strange scanner. It beeped softly. "I'm picking up heat signatures. There's someone alive deep inside." "Then let's flush the beast out." Back in the cave, Reika heard something in the distance, a deep thud, then another. "What's that sound?" Jack asked. She stood, eyes narrowed. "They're bringing echo grenades. They'll collapse the tunnels." Jack pulled himself up with one hand on the wall. "We need a plan." Reika's hands tightened into fists. "I'll fight." "With what?" She walked over to a side wall and brushed away old moss. Underneath it was a cracked panel of silver metal. She tapped it. It blinked. "You said there might still be tech in here." "Let's find it." They spent the next hour crawling through side tunnels. Reika moved like she belonged there. Jack followed slowly, using a broken pipe as a crutch. At the far end, they found a sealed door covered in rust. Reika placed her hand on it. The lock buzzed, then dash click. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside was a hidden room, dusty, broken, but still humming with weak power. Weapons lined the walls. Old, but deadly, suits of armor, drones with no eyes. And in the center a control panel with blinking lights. Jack stared. This is a mini armory. Reika's eyes glowed. This is where they prepared for war. He turned to her. Maybe it's where we'll end one. The lights came alive. One by one, faint at first, then brighter, then steady. The cave's long-forgotten heart began to beat again. Dust floated through the stale air like ghosts. A deep hum echoed from the ancient walls. Machines that hadn't moved in 100 years blinked awake, responding to the touch of two Deathworlders. Reika stood still, staring at the glowing floor under her feet. This place remembers. Jack looked around slowly, mouth half open. In awe. You weren't kidding. This cave wasn't just a hiding place. It was a fortress. Rows of alien weapons rested on racks, some rusted, some still clean as if waiting for battle. Suits of armor, tall and curved like insects, stood in silence. A table in the corner had old maps burned into its surface, with tunnel paths leading out in every direction. Jack limped closer to a control screen and tapped it. A blue hologram flickered into the air. A map of the valley, marked with blinking red lights. Enemy positions, he muttered. They're closing in. Reika picked up a strange curved blade from the wall. It was lighter than it looked. When she swung it once, it hummed with power. Then we don't have time. Jack glanced at her. Are you ready for this? Her answer was calm. I've been waiting my whole life to stop running. The training began that night. Jack sat on a crate, leg wrapped tightly, working on reprogramming the old drones. Reika trained in the corner, moving through slow, deadly motions. Her body was fluid, silent, full of control. Like a jungle cat waiting to strike. You know, Jack said, wiping sweat from his forehead. You don't fight like someone raised in a soft world. She didn't stop moving. That's because I wasn't raised. I survived. Jack nodded. Slowly. Makes sense. A loud spark popped behind him. Ow. Reika turned quickly. Are you all right? Jack shook his hand. Just a shock. These drones are grumpy. She smiled faintly. Then they match you, Jack grinned. Flirting during a war? Bold move. Her cheeks darkened, and she turned away quickly. I was only stating a fact. He chuckled. I like facts. As the days passed, the two Deathworlders became something more than strangers. Jack taught Reika how to shoot using one of the old plasma rifles. Her aim was wild at first, but with practice, she became deadly accurate. You're learning fast, he said. She wiped sweat from her forehead. My body adapts, but you think like a hunter. Every move you make has a plan. I had. Tio, he replied. Earth's like that. One mistake and something eats your leg. She looked at his injured leg. Is that what happened? Jack laughed. Nah, that was just a bad landing. One evening, as they sat beside a dim heater made from scrap parts, Reika spoke quietly. Do you think, if we survive this, people will still fear us? Jack stared into the orange glow. Maybe, but fear isn't always bad. She looked at him, confused. Then what's the point? He met her eyes. The point is they don't get to decide what we are. We do. Her heart beat faster at those words. Suddenly, a warning alarm flashed red across the screen behind them. Reika rushed over. What is it? Jack scanned the display. They've entered the outer tunnels. How many? Too many. Reika picked up her blade. Then we lead them in. Jack tapped a few buttons on the console. I've armed the traps. Pressure. Sensors, stun walls, smoke. It won't kill them. But it'll give us time. She nodded. Let's finish this. They moved like shadows through the tunnels, Rika swift and silent, Jack dragging himself with steady focus. Every corner of the cave now belonged to them. The first group of hunters entered the trap area. Click. Smoke filled the path. Zazap. Electric wires lit up the walls. Screams echoed, followed by running footsteps. Rika whispered, "They don't understand. This cave doesn't fear them." Jack smirked. "This cave knows who built it and who it belongs to now." Back in the control room, Rika touched the glowing map. "This place was made for war," she said softly. Jack stood beside her. "And now we're using it." Outside, more hunters gathered. The final battle was coming, but this time Rika wasn't running. This time they would face the monster they created and find out it had a name. Her name was Rika. Blood has a sound. It's not loud, not at first. But Rika could hear it. Drip. 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 The sound echoed on the cave floor, mixing with smoke, static, and distant cries. Her hands were shaking, not from fear, but from what she saw at her feet. Jack. He was lying still, chest rising slowly, one arm covered in red, the other still holding his weapon. He had jumped in front of her when the blast came. Rika dropped to her knees, pressing her hand on his side. The heat of his blood shocked her. No. His eyes fluttered open. "You all right?" he whispered with a crooked smile. She stared at him in disbelief. "You're the one bleeding." "I've had worse," he joked weakly. "Stop talking," her voice cracked. "You're losing too much blood. And you're crying," he said softly, reaching up to touch her face. "Didn't know you could." She looked down. Yes, her face was wet. But not from rain this time. Tears. Real, warm, painful tears. Just minutes ago, they had fought like warriors. The first wave of hunters entered the cave with stun rifles and metal shields. Rika met them head-on, blades slicing through the smoke. Her movements wild but perfect. Jack supported from the back, using a recharged pulse gun. His aim was calm, focused. Every trap they had prepared worked. Gas vents, falling rocks, and shock tiles. The cave obeyed them now, but then an elite hunter entered with Forbidden's tech. A sonic grenade. Jack saw it first. It rolled toward Rika. Without thinking, he ran forward, grabbed her by the shoulder, and pushed her behind the wall. Then the blast came. Rika remembered the sound, the flash, the silence after. And now, here they were. "You shouldn't have done that," she said, trying to bandage his side with torn cloth. "I told you," he whispered. "We protect each other." "But I'm the one who's strong." He grabbed her wrist gently. "Strong doesn't mean heartless." She couldn't speak. Jack looked up at her, his voice barely a breath. "They all called you a monster. But monsters don't cry. And they sure as hell don't risk everything to protect someone like me. You don't understand." "No, Rika," he said, voice firmer. "I understand exactly what you are." She looked into his eyes. "You're not a monster," he said. "You're a hero. They just never gave you the chance to be one." Something inside her cracked. Not broke. Unlocked. All these years, she had hidden her strength, hid her emotions, hid her pain. But now it was time to show them all. Rika stood slowly. Her eyes glowed like fire. She turned to the remaining path where the last wave of hunters waited. They thought she would fall, that she would run, but Rika was done running. She turned to Jack. "I'll be back. Stay alive." "Wouldn't miss it," he whispered. Rika stepped into the final tunnel. Her footsteps were thunder. The hunters shouted orders. "Surround her. Aim for the head. She's alone." But they were wrong. She wasn't alone. Every memory, every scar, every cry in the forest, every day she had been called a beast stood beside her now like invisible warriors. Her blade lit up with blue light. She struck, faster than they expected, stronger than they could handle. She knocked down weapons, shattered shields, and moved like lightning through smoke. One by one, they fell not dead, but defeated. She didn't kill. She didn't have to die. By the time she returned to Jack, her armor was scorched and her hands were bruised, but her eyes were calm. "I told you," Jack said, grinning weakly. "You were born for this." She knelt beside him. "No, we were." She helped him up, one arm over her shoulder. Together, they limped back to the control room. The cave was quiet now. It had seen war and chosen its new champions. Outside, the morning sun peeked through the clouds. For the first time, Rika stepped out of the cave not as an outcast, but as a warrior, not feared, not rejected, but finally seen. The blood scanner wasn't supposed to beep, but it did. 3 long beeps. Then a red flash. Jack stared at the medical tablet, face frozen. Rika, lying beside the warm fire, blinked. "What's wrong?" Jack didn't answer. He just kept staring at the screen like he'd seen a ghost. "Jack?" He turned slowly toward her. "You said your parents escaped your death world when you were a baby, right?" She nodded. "Yes." "Why?" He flipped the tablet around and showed her the data. "Because according to this, you're not fully alien." Rika sat up. "What? Your blood? It has human DNA." She laughed once. "That's not possible. I'm not human." "Look at me." Jack's voice was calm, but firm. "You have Earth markers in your cells. The genes that allow fast healing, enhanced muscle growth, thermal resistance. They're not just alien traits. They're also human traits, my kind." Rika's head spun. She stood up, backing away. "No, this can't be. My parents were both from Krellin stock, pure aliens. They told me, maybe they lied," Jack said quietly. "No," she snapped. "They loved me." "They wouldn't. They probably tried to protect you," Jack interrupted gently. "Maybe they were afraid of what people would say. If they knew your blood was mixed." Rika collapsed back against the wall, breath shallow. "Then who am I?" Jack limped closer and sat beside her. He didn't speak for a moment. He let the silence settle between them. Then he said, "You're the bridge." She looked up slowly. "What?" "You are the link between 2 death worlds, Earth and yours. You're living proof that humans and your kind can survive together, maybe even thrive." She stared at her hands. They had broken stone, shattered metal, but they had also saved lives, caught a falling human, carried him through the storm. "Then I was never cursed," she whispered. "No," Jack said softly. "You were chosen." Later that night, Rika dug through the old storage room, deep inside the war cave. She found an archive terminal covered in vines. Old, locked, but still humming. Jack helped her hotwire the controls. Lines of alien text filled the air, then old documents, birth records, genetic files, hidden notes. Her mother's name, Jarai of Krell. Her father's name was not listed. Rika's hands trembled. Then Jack found something else, a private log entry. Dated nearly 20 years ago. He played it. A tired woman's voice echoed in the chamber. "If anyone finds this, know that my daughter is not a mistake. I fell in love with a human explorer named Elias Quinn. He died protecting me. Our child, Rika, is both worlds in one body. I pray she be strong enough to survive in a galaxy that fears difference." Rika's mouth opened, but no words came. Her mother had loved a human, and that human was her father. Jack sat beside her again. "Elias Quinn. That name is in Earth history. He was a scout, went missing. Never found," she whispered. "He died, saving her, saving me." Her hands clenched into fists. "All my life I thought I was a mistake, an accident. But I was the reason 2 people from enemy worlds chose love." Jack nodded. "You weren't born for war. You were born to change what comes after." Rika looked at him, eyes fierce but full of new light. "Then that's what I'll do." As the morning sun rose outside the cave, Reka stood at the edge of the cliff. The wind rushed past her, but she didn't shiver. She was part Deathworlder, part human, all warrior, and now she knew who she was. Behind her, Jack stepped up, leaning on a metal cane. "So what now?" She turned to him and smiled. "Now we go show them the truth." The council hall had never been this silent. 12 alien leaders sat in their tall chairs, their eyes fixed on the stone doors ahead. The walls were lined with guards. Everyone had been called here elders, soldiers, scholars. The topic, Reka. Long ago, she was just a shadow at the edge of their world. A threat, a mistake, a name whispered with fear. Now she was coming to speak for herself, but not alone. The doors opened with a heavy groan. 2 figures stepped inside. Reka walked tall, her armor black and silver, cleaned and polished from the cave. Her yellow eyes glowed like fire, but now they burned with purpose, not rage. Beside her, limping but strong, walked Jack. Human, scarred, unbroken. The 2 Deathworlders stood together before the council. Gasps rose from the crowd. Some guards reached for weapons, but the head elder raised a hand. "Let them speak." Reka didn't bow. She looked straight into the eyes of those who had feared her since she was a child. "You all know my name," she said, her voice calm but powerful. "You've called me monster, beast, mistake." She took 1 step forward. "But I'm not a mistake." She tapped a device on her wrist. A projection lit up the room, a recording from the archive cave. Her mother's voice played again. "Reka is the child of a human and an alien. Proof that love can grow even in war." Gasps, murmurs. Reka let them sink in. "I am part of you," she said, "and part of him." She pointed to Jack. "My blood holds 2 death worlds, and I've survived both." 1 elder stood. "You are dangerous," Reka nodded. "Yes, I am, but so is the sun. So is the storm. You don't lock away fire, you use it to light the dark." Jack stepped forward now. "I've seen your fear," he said, his voice steady. "But I've also seen your future, and it's standing right in front of you." He looked at Reka. "She's not here to burn your cities. She's here to build something stronger, something new." Then, outside, the alarm rang. A blaring deep horn. A scout ran into the chamber. "Council. Raiders from the outer rim approaching." "Fast!" Panic erupted. The elders stood, unsure. Then Reka turned, voice rising. "Then let us stand first." Jack raised his rifle. "You wanted proof? We'll show you what Deathworlders can do." The next hour was chaos, screaming winds, falling fire. The sky burned as Raider ships descended. But Reka and Jack stood at the front gate side by side. They fought not like monsters. They fought like protectors. The Raiders didn't know what hit them. Reka moved like lightning. Jack shot with deadly calm. The people, those who once feared her, watched in awe as their lives were saved by the very one they had rejected. By the end of the battle, the Raiders were gone, and the sky was quiet again. Later, as the dust settled, the council approached Ray Ka. 1 elder removed his robe and placed it before her feet. "We feared you because we didn't understand you," he said. "But now we see." Reka looked at the people gathering around her. They weren't afraid anymore. They were hopeful. Jack leaned close and whispered, "Told you they'd come around." She smiled. "Eventually." He smiled back. "You ready to lead a planet?" She looked up at the stars. "No," she said. "I'm ready to lead a future."